Hey guys, welcome back. Today I have some very promising news that I sincerely hope will render this video that I made last week completely pointless. 343 have just released the final major MCC update blog before Reach launches, and aside from one thing, it is nothing but pure good news. So today I want to break it all down. Real quick though, I've seen a few people saying that I only made the video about why 343 should delay Reach for views and clicks because negativity, and I just want to quickly outline how absolutely patently false that is. Like I explained in the video, Reach launching on PC is a watershed moment for Halo. It has to go as well as humanly possible, and if it doesn't, then it could have pretty serious ramifications for the franchise in the future. After that last blog post went live, basically saying that the game might not function properly at launch, I was really worried, like genuinely, and I felt like I had to use my voice to speak up for the good of the franchise, and I wasn't the only one to do that. Vito, Duquesne, GamerJLee, and loads of others spoke up about it too, for the same reason. However, this latest blog post has quelled a lot of the fears that we all had about Reach's launch, and I'm not gonna lie, it has made me infinitely more optimistic and hyped for launch. So let's dive into it. Starting off from a development and feedback gathering standpoint, Flight number 3 was an overwhelming success. They also paid close attention to all the discussion in the community about the areas of the game that need improvements before launch, so things like input delay, server lag, uncapped frame rate, etc. And they assured us that Reach is shaping up very well on Xbox and PC in regards to all of those issues, which is promising. They were also able to get experience in rolling out hotfixes and updates as quick as possible to fix bugs pretty much as soon as they're found, which I think for obvious reasons is going to be super useful for the game, especially around launch time. But anyways, that's all good, but this next stuff, this is the real good news. Let's start with the thing that worried me and many others more so than anything else, the mouse and keyboard input delay. Now originally, it was looking like keyboard and mouse were gonna have that painful input delay on launch, but no longer. As they mentioned before, the codebase for the flight was quite far behind their most recent up-to-date code, and in the up-to-date code, many improvements for the input delay have been implemented, and in Ring 1 and Ring 2 tests, the feedback for these fixes is apparently very promising. They then said that they're still going to keep iterating post-launch, but they feel that the input delay will be greatly improved on launch compared to Flight 3. Now that, combined with the feedback from Ring 1, Ring 2, are incredibly reassuring to me. Now don't get me wrong, I still do want to be cautiously optimistic until I actually get to play the game for myself, but this is a stark contrast to what was said in the last blog post, which is an overwhelmingly good sign. But don't worry, the good news does not stop there. In the last blog post, they confirmed that uncapped frame rate would sadly not be a feature on launch because it didn't meet their quality standards, which was a real blow, honestly, considering how important that feature is to many PC gamers. Well, no longer. The team have been hard at work on fundamental improvements to uncapped frames, and the feedback from Ring 1 and Ring 2 flighting has been very promising. And furthermore, they can now confirm that uncapped frame rate will be a feature at launch. Praise the prophets. Sorry, what was that? You want some more good news? Yeah, why not? The issue with VSync causing input delay has also been fixed, as have the menu bugs and crashes, along with some, but not all, of the audio issues. Specifically the dynamic audio being broken. Now that has been fixed, so when you're playing the campaign going from section to section, the music should transition pretty well, like it did in the original Reach. But the other mixing issues, like guns not maybe sounding exactly how they should, they're still looking into that, which I guess is fair enough. They also confirmed that push to talk has also been implemented, thank God. On top of all of this, they are also going to be adding a system that sounds pretty similar to Halo 3 and Reach that's going to allow you to modify your search preferences in terms of servers. Now, what I assume this means is you'll be able to choose between connecting to low ping servers with maybe a higher skill gap in between the highest and lowest skilled player in the game, or instead connecting to maybe higher ping servers with players that are more around your skill level, just like Halo 3 and Halo Reach did. And on the topic of servers, the server input delay from the last 2 flights that was pretty game-breaking is also being worked on and will be better for launch, but they're also going to keep improving it after launch as well. I hope that means that it'll be fixed for launch. It sounds to me like it will be, but all in all, very good additions. The only not so great news is a bit subjective, maybe. I mentioned this in the last video, how insanely ridiculously high the controller aim assist was on PC, and that it's like way too easy to use a controller against keyboard and mouse players. Now, I was really hoping that they'd turn it down and create a bit more of an even playing field, where the game isn't doing like 90% of the work for controller users, but it seems not. They won't be retuning controller auto-aim for launch. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand why they seem hesitant to do this, but at the same time, I really wish they would do. I just hope that a large majority of PC players use keyboard and mouse, so people don't get discouraged by getting destroyed by controllers every game. It was really annoying in the last flight, so I just hope that the amount of people using keyboard and mouse on PC ends up like massively dwarfing those who are using controllers, so it doesn't end up being a rampant problem where every game is ruined by people using controllers and having the game just purely aim for them because of how high the auto aim is. Fingers crossed. But yeah, other than that, that's all pretty damn good news, and it is a stark contrast to the last blog post. We've gone from doom and gloom to actual genuine optimism for launch in the space of like a week. Pretty funny how quickly things can change. I will be a very happy man if that video that I made is proven entirely wrong on December 3rd. So, let's move on to some pretty huge updates coming to the new MCC progression system. We already know mostly how this thing is going to work. I mean, I think I've explained it like 10 times now, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But as you can see here, the icons are fully updated in the unlock screen. Now, I'll be honest, I was a little bit worried that the placeholder ones that we now know are placeholder that were in the flight were going to be the final ones and that we were never going to get the actual pictures of the armor back, but thankfully not. This looks so much better. But that isn't all. One of the biggest complaints about this new progression unlock system is that it takes away one of the best aspects of reaches, the option to unlock armor in any order that you want. Now, the new system is totally 100% linear, which, granted, is easier for new players to understand, but at the same time, it takes a lot of the soul away from unlocking armor, especially considering it's replacing Reach's system, which arguably was the most soulful unlocking system that Halo's ever seen. Well, fear not. You'll be happy to hear that 343 have heard us. In the future, likely for future seasons, they want to address giving players greater choice in terms of unlock order. Now that is some pretty damn good news. I honestly did not think they'd ever address that, and I thought the progression system would just stay as is for the rest of MCC. I wouldn't have been totally against that, but I like the approach they're taking. But there is still one issue, right? All the Reach armor that was in original Reach is present in the first season. So what else is there to unlock? Well, like they've said before, they are currently digging through the vault to see what else they can offer as an unlock down the line. GRD, boys. I have a pretty good feeling about GRD. Also, they announced that they're going to be adding another way to unlock season points, which, if you can't remember, are used to unlock the armor. Challenges. It's taken 7 long years, but we finally have challenges back, and boy does it feel good. Now, by the sounds of it, and I might be wrong here, but by the sounds of it, the way that these challenges will work is you'll first rank up a maximum of 100 times, which gives you 100 season points for the 100 tiers in the first season, and then after that, any further season points that you unlock, which transfer to other seasons, will be unlocked via the challenge system. Now, I'm not quite sure if you'll be able to earn season points for leveling and completing challenges at the same time. To me, it'd be kind of silly if that wasn't the case. It's not explicitly outlined here, but I'm sure at some point in the future we'll hear a lot more about this. Either way, challenges are coming back, so feels good, man. And that's about it for all the progression and customization updates. Next, they talked in depth about Bloom, but I think we're going to go ahead and skip this one, lads. Link to the blog post is in the description if you want to read this. It's basically like a massive in-depth dive into how Bloom works, why Bloom exists, why it's different in certain playlists, and so on. But you know what? I don't have the mental capacity right now to talk about Bloom for 10 minutes. I'm sorry. I just don't. Right, anyways, on to Forge. Yes, you read the title correctly. We are indeed getting new additions to Halo Reach's Forge.
Oh, holy, you guys did what?
Now, one quick, fairly sobering reminder, Forge and Theatre sadly will not be launching on PC on day one, but they will be there on Xbox on day one, and also all of the game modes and maps that were transferred over from the 360 version of Reach will be playable in customs on both Xbox and PC on day one, December 3rd. So, I guess at the very least, we're going to have a load of maps and game modes to play until Forge releases. But yeah, anyways, back to the original point, the new items. Now, these were sort of found a while ago by GameCheat and Zed, but we weren't 100% sure if they really were going to be added as new items, seeing as, well, you know, they were kind of dug out the code. But now, 343 have finally confirmed it. This picture right here shows only some of the new items being added, and among them are civilian vehicles like the forklift and truck, space vehicles like the Saber and Seraph, which are pilotable by the way, vehicle variants like the Troop Warthog, the Heavy Falcon and the Heavy Shade, ammo crates and pickups, gravlift variants, more shield doors, dropships which sadly aren't pilotable, they're just props, but at least we get them, destroyed variants of vehicles, various other crates and props, other pieces of set dressing, loads more Foreigner items, large rocks and trees, and even more set dressing pieces. And as if that wasn't enough already, they're also going to be increasing the amount of items you can spawn in Forge, as well as the money limit. The limits are still there, but they're just upping them, like, quite considerably, in fact. Like, for example, they said that in the original Forge world, you could only spawn, I think it was 89 of one item, whereas in the new version of Reach, you can spawn 141.
Mission accomplished, good work!
Now these numbers aren't final by any means, but they're a damn good improvement. 343 basically said that they want to allow people to go back to maps that they made like 9 years ago and improve them in ways that they always dreamed of, but they never could because the game limited them, which in my opinion is like one of the coolest mindsets to have. It's literally unlocking the potential of the game that we all dreamed of like 9, 10 years ago almost, and now we can actually fulfill them, of course, without mods. And on top of this, not only are maps that you make going to be available cross-platform, which means that if you make it on PC, you can play it on Xbox and vice versa, but they can also get added to matchmaking if they're good enough. So not only are classic Reach custom maps going to be improved across the board in ways that were impossible back in the day, but we're also going to be getting matchmaking maps to play on that were literally impossible to make without mods in the original Reach. Very, very good news. And finally, Postums gave us a very, very in-depth look into the input delay issue, how they measure it and how they're looking to resolve it. Now, I'm gonna be honest lads, I don't understand a bloody word of any of this. I've read through it and it's all extremely complicated, and I'm not going to try and break it down. I don't want to end up saying stuff that doesn't make sense. It's something to do with frames and how frames are queued up, but I'm not going to pretend to understand it. I think the too long don't read of this is basically that input delay is being improved, and it should feel really damn good for launch. Feel free to read it though, if you want to. The link is down below in the description, like I said already. If you want to go read this, and maybe you'll understand it, then go ahead, but I don't want to sit here and completely ruin what he said. And finally this time, Postums rounded it off by announcing that Halo Combat Evolved Flighting is going to kick off early next year. Now, fingers crossed they can get all the games on MCC out on both Xbox and PC before Infinite, because goddamn, if they all release in like tip-top quality, that would be quite the running start for Infinite. It would be exactly what that game needs. Oh yeah, also, finally, don't forget to update your Halo Insider profile for Combat Evolved Flighting. And so, that's it for today. I think it's safe to say that this video is like infinitely more positive than the last news video. I'm really happy that they've managed to seemingly just turn it all around, because I was worried there. Fingers crossed the launch is as big as we all hope it'll be. I mean, I genuinely, legitimately think that it will be, but, you know, only time will tell. And on that note, that's all for today. I want to give a huge thank you to Jarrod Gentili, I think that's how you pronounce it, for becoming a new Primordial over on Patreon, as well of course as everybody else who continues to support me over there. And thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.